Okay, the video I want to talk about, or I guess the subject I'm going to talk about today, is going to be the Sinzae Reed shooting in Columbus, Ohio. This is the story of the 13-year-old boy who was killed in Wedgwood Apartments on October the 12th, 2022, by a man named Craig Butler, who is 36 years old and was prohibited from having a firearm due to a previous domestic violence conviction. There were witnesses and information on scene that led authorities to the arrest of Craig Butler, who was then released and had his charges dismissed a few days later. I first became aware of this story when I saw this post. I think it came through my Facebook feed, and it says, "We must protect our children. Calls for justice getting louder over slain teenager." The family of 13-year-old Sinzae Reed, who was shot dead back in October at Wedgwood Apartments, is raising questions about the investigation. Their concerns are getting the attention of local activists, community leaders, and politicians. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty on Thursday shared the simple message: "We must protect our children," with the hashtag Justice for Sinzae Reed. It says 13-year-old Craig Butler was arrested days after the shooting. Police said a witness saw Butler exit his truck, fire shots at Reed, and then drive off. It has not been confirmed whether Butler and Reed knew each other or what led to the gunfire. In court, prosecutors have revealed that Butler told police he fired shots in self-defense. The charges against him were eventually dropped. And then it says that they reached out to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office basically has refused to comment on the story. And this is starting to get some legs. It's getting national attention. I've even got this video that I saw on the national ABC news page where the title was, "If my son was white, he probably wouldn't have been killed." This is one of those stories that I believe, similar to the Michael Brown case, has the ability to get some legs on it and kind of create a violent reaction that could possibly spread across the country. That is something that I desperately don't want to see happen. The stuff that happened in 2014 in response to the Brown shooting was horrible, and it had such a horrible effect on our society, on our communities, and on our police departments. I don't ever want to see something like that happen again, mostly because this is all based on rumors and speculation and very little truth. With that information, I want to go over some of the rumors and speculation and just some of the things that are out in the public sphere that if you believe some of these rumors and speculation, maybe you'll begin to question this and understand why the police department and the prosecutor's office are taking their time on this case. It's not as cut and dry as people want to believe. So this is the story that's going around right now. This is the popular story. It says, on October the 12th in Columbus, Ohio, 36-year-old Craig Butler Sr. stopped his truck, got out, and shot 13-year-old Sinzae Reed in the back multiple times, killing him. He then got back in his truck and drove away. The murderer is a free man. I want to focus on what they're saying about how he shot him in the back. And then there's another thing that I want to kind of address that people are talking about here. They're saying, I think it's strange that everyone is talking about how the kid supposedly shot first, but they aren't asking why the kid shot and even why Craig Butler had a gun if he had a domestic violence charge against him. He wasn't legally permitted to even have a firearm, and it was already proven to be a violent man. You can see by the response to that, this is one of the reasons I put this up. You know, everyone is pointing their finger at Craig Butler for not being allowed to have a firearm. I agree, he shouldn't have a firearm, but unfortunately gun laws don't work, and people who are prohibited from having firearms don't follow gun laws. But also there's a 13-year-old in this case that a lot of people are saying was shooting at Butler when he was shot and killed. I don't think there's a good reason to defend either person in this case. And I think it's really strange that people are. So now people are going to go around saying, well, you don't have any proof that Sinzae Reed had a firearm. That's right. I don't have any proof. But like I said, everything going around right now is based on speculation, right? So here's just something for you to consider. This is a woman based on my research, this woman is not Sinzae Reed's sister, but she calls him her brother. So we're just going to go with what she says in her post. This was shared by one of her friends. Said, my brother's clip was empty. He ain't go out like no hoe. My baby was 13. He couldn't fight that bullet to the chest. So this is a person who is a friend of Sinzae and is out there saying that he didn't go down like a hoe. His clip was empty, which means he had fired off a bunch of rounds. Now people might go ahead and say that's a legitimate post that isn't real. That's just maybe you made that up. I understand the people that might say this, but here's some other posts by the same person. She's saying there's a candlelight vigil for my baby right now. Who's getting the candles and who's pulling up? But just before that post, it says, somebody better tell her ass to delete that. I swear to God. And this is the post that she's referring to that people better delete, right? I want to show you guys another post I saw. This is one from somebody claiming to be a witness. This was on one of the Columbus Police Facebook posts about the shooting incident. This guy said, I watched it all go down. So someone confronts him. So, hey, tell me what happened, like the beginning of the end. He said, I'm not sure what it was over, but the dude lived in my mother's building. He came out hot about something and went to his truck, got inside. He got shot at near the playground, got to his truck and started shooting back. So he's talking about Butler getting shot at, went to his truck and started shooting back. Sad for real. That kid dying over drama, but I definitely agree with you. I don't get why the child had to gun or why dude thought it was necessary to shoot child. So this is yet another person who was claiming to be there that said both people were armed with guns and that both people were shooting at each other. Like I said before, the police don't just say, oh, you're telling me that you have a self-defense case. We're going to go ahead and dismiss the charges. The police investigate and they interview everybody at scene, and then they talk to the suspect if the suspect agrees to waive their rights to speak. In this case, they spoke to everybody that was on scene, got statements from everybody, collected evidence, and then talked to the prosecutor and said, hey, you know what? This guy has a legitimate self-defense case. I think it's best if we drop the charges right now and wait for the medical examiner's report. Because that's what all this drama was about. They're saying, you know, why is he out of jail right now? The prosecutor's office said, we dismiss the charges until we wait for the medical examiner's report. Why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that because of this information right here. People said that he was shot in the back multiple times. They were waiting on the medical examiner's report to come out to tell them whether or not he was actually shot in the back. Now I want to direct your attention to a story that was shared by the Columbus Dispatch just today. Sinzae Reed was shot twice, according to an autopsy. An autopsy sent to the family, which was tweeted by an advocate. Franklin County Coroner's Office has released the autopsy report of the 13-year-old boy who was fatally shot in October at the Columbus Hilltop apartment complex. Sinzae Reed died on October 12th at Ohio Health Hospital, where he was shot in Wedgwood Apartments. They arrived, they found Sinzae. We don't need to read through all of that. Raymond Obey, the president of the Just 614, one of the activists and advocates working for Sinzae's family, tweeted photos of the autopsy report. Obey did not respond to Dispatch's calls for help. The documents in the photos state that Sinzae suffered 2 gunshot wounds, one to his right hand and the other to his right chest, with a bullet exiting through his back. So like I said before, most of the information that is out there revolving around this case has been pure speculation. There's people that are saying that Craig Butler was unprovoked, got out of his truck, ran up to a 13-year-old boy, shot him multiple times in the back, killed him, claimed self-defense, and he was let free to roam the world when he is a big, bad criminal. There's other people that are saying that Sinzae had a firearm, was shooting at Mr. Butler. Mr. Butler went and got his firearm, shot back at Sinzae, and shot and killed him. It's true that Butler wasn't allowed to have a firearm, but we've already discussed that criminals don't follow gun laws. And then people are also asking, why won't the prosecutor's office hold Butler on his weapons under disability charge if he was prohibited from having a firearm? He admitted to having a firearm. He admitted to shooting and killing this kid. If he has a domestic violence charge, he's not allowed to have that firearm. That is all very true, but in the city of Columbus, having a domestic violence charge and being in possession of a firearm is just a misdemeanor charge. He would not be held on that charge. The state of Ohio does not have a domestic violence would section, and if they did, it's not likely that he would have been held on a very high bond on that charge, and he still would have been released under these circumstances. It is federally illegal to possess a firearm with a domestic violence charge, so it's possible that Butler could face federal charges for weapons under disability for being convicted of domestic violence and being in possession of a firearm. It's just a matter of whether or not federal prosecutors are interested in this case. At the end of the day, one thing I want to say is that the information that's out in the media that you're being told is most likely not the truth. I think it's highly likely that Sinzae had a firearm, was shooting at Butler. Sinzae is 13 years old. He is not legally capable of owning a firearm, but nonetheless, I believe that he did. I believe that that information will be brought forward in a reasonable amount of time. And it's also true that Butler fired back at him and killed him. It's a very unfortunate turn of events, but nonetheless, this does not mean, I'll bring this back up, because this is what people are saying when they do this hashtag and they're saying we must protect our children, justice for Sinzae. A lot of people are out there saying that the criminal justice system and that the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office is doing this based on racism. Just like I said here, a mother of Sinzae Reed, if my son was white, he probably wouldn't have been killed. Put that in the center of the screen. I'm sorry, but any 13-year-old boy that has a firearm and that starts shooting at somebody runs the risk of being killed. I believe strongly that the information I'm presenting you today will be eventually released to the public. Based on everything that I'm seeing and hearing, I believe that's what happened. So I don't know. It's unfortunate that this young boy is dead, but we can't change that. Those are going to be my thoughts for today. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon.